Today's show is sponsored by our friends at distilleryproducts.com. I could talk about this forever. You already know the drill. If you need awesome laser etch glassware at wholesale prices and you are a bourbon group, you are a store, you're a distillery, you got to talk to the folks at distilleryproducts.com. Reach out to me. I would be happy to get you in touch with them. They have amazing prices and do amazing work at distilleryproducts.com. Today's show is also sponsored by our friends at Orca Coolers. Make this summer the coolest summer ever with Orca. They have something for everyone, from American-made, lifetime guaranteed hardside coolers to stainless steel whiskey barrel tumblers. They're ready to have your name on it. I got a hard cooler, a soft cooler. I got a few of these whiskey barrel tumblers. I'm getting ready to make my barbecues awesome. Use code DADS20 for 20% off of your order at Orca Coolers. That is code DADS20, and you're going to get 20% off, and that actually means something pretty substantial when you go to get a new cooler. So check them out, orcacoolers.com. Use code DADS20 for 20% off. Today's show is also sponsored by our friends at Action 24/7. You want action? Get in on the action with Action 24/7, Tennessee's only sports book by Tennesseans for Tennesseans. And y'all have no idea right now how pumped I am. I know I had big news. I wanted to get it out to you last week, but now this week it's good to go. Use code DADS100 and they will match up to $400 of your first deposit. Same code, more money. Use code DADS100. They will match up to $400 of your deposit. Check it out. There's MLB stuff going on. There is soccer stuff going on. Insurance on all of them. Preds home games. Check out all the specials when you go into the app at action247.com or get the app on your phone. Use code DADS100 and get in on the action. Hello, everyone. My name is John Edwards, and with me, as always, is Zeke Baker, and together we make the Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, thank you for making us a part of your day. And since Zeke said I sounded melancholy in the last episode, I want to make sure I am full of energy this episode. So, Zeke Baker, how are you?
Does this mean we got a new sponsor? Did you finally get Bang Energy?
No, but you, the most lethargic sounding asshole I have ever heard, cannot be talking about my energy. Like, the funny thing is, I'm sitting there listening to the last episode that I edited. First off, I will tell you, yes, I messed up. Yes, did we record Starlight the other night? And then after Starlight, we recorded it, and then I was going to put out the Castle and Key episode. And yes, I labeled the episode Starlight. I'm sorry, my bad. It was really Castle and Key. I had a whole lot of messages of people that said, hey, John, this episode was really Castle and Key. It wasn't Starlight. And I was like, oh, this is what Zeke does to me. He gets me in this mood. I don't know what the hell's going on. Like, is this what you do to women? Like, you just get them in a mood and then they can't think rationally? Like, you are such an ass talking about my energy level. So I am giving you 150% tonight. So anyways, I apologize to everyone for labeling the episode wrong. I fixed it, thought I fixed it in time, fixed it on Apple, fixed it on Spotify, then realized it was not fixed on YouTube. So then I had to go in individual, like we're posted in too many places and I have to go back and fix it. And I'm sorry I didn't get everywhere. And I'm sorry I messed up. Blind Squirrel does not find a nut 99% of the time. And then sometimes he finds a nut.
Well, that's where I was even more confused because folks, a couple of our group messages messaged, and I'm like, on mine, it clearly says what it is. Like, what's the problem here? Like, I just listened to Castle and Key and it was Castle and Key. Like, what is the problem? I'm like, the other one should be coming out today. Like, are y'all slow? And they're like, no. And I'm like, I don't even know. Could be my iPhone too. You know, that thing gives me fits.
I thought you were up to a 5 now.
It depends on which one I'm using that day. You know, they break a lot.
You do go back and forth when it slips and falls in the tub, and then you got to bust out the other one.
Although, so I will say randomly about this kid I work with, he's talking about dropping his iPhone in the toilet. And I'm like, well, what were you doing with your iPhone in the toilet? He's like, well, actually, I was getting ready to go out. I'm like, well, what's that got to do with an iPhone and a toilet? He's like, well, I was sitting there and I was listening to music. And I'm like, well, even if you put it like on the back of the commode or whatever, like, how does it go in? He's like, I don't know. It just kind of happened.
No, there's something that he doesn't want to say because it's embarrassing.
No, he told me he wasn't coming off of it. And I was fine. It's like, well, look, man, the only advice I'll tell you, when you're in a random bathroom or a stall or whatever, and you go to put your phone down, you put it on the shit ticket holder. Like, don't put it on the back of the commode.
Except if the shit ticket holder is rounded and then it doesn't work.
Those doubles are flat though, you know?
Yeah, but not all of them have the doubles. Some have the big round one, and it's like, you don't want to be doing that. But unless he was sitting on the commode and he's skinny, like, is this a skinny man? Because I could...
No, honestly, I pried a little and thought maybe a little bit more. I wasn't going to waste energy, but to not have been using any aspect of the commode, but to have a phone on it and then somehow it falls in it, even if you're presumably not there, I don't know. It's par for the course with this one's all I'll say.
Because what I will tell you, full of energy, my friend, what I will tell you is one of the advantages to being as big as I am. You are a smaller individual. You don't understand this. Is when I sit on the commode, there is no room for a cell phone to fall in. It's like one of those things they sell. They were on Shark Tank. It's the thing that goes between the seat of your car and the center console. You know how you could put something there to protect it from stuff falling in there? You haven't seen that?
Not really, but I get the concept.
Yeah, that's my body. My body is one of those things that's between the seat and the console. Nothing's getting through and everything's protected.
At this point, I just think all the people are nervous. You're going to try to explain to us how you pee when you're sitting on the commode, and nobody needs that.
No, I'm not trying to explain that. You kind of ruined it for me because I was going to say standing up is a different story.
You brought up my love life. I'll spoil yours too.
What? My love life is going number one on the commode?
No, you just said you kind of ruined it for me.
Oh. All right, Zeke, you got us a blind. I want to say with peace and love before we get started here, all of y'all that are sending us 5 sample blinds, we love you. We appreciate you. 3 to 4 are so much easier. 5 is a lot to go through in a night. So if you are sending us blinds, and we love you for it, and we have no idea what they are. Zeke has an envelope with answers, but if you are sending us a blind, please send us 3 to 4 tops. 3 is really more preferable. 3 is more manageable. 5 is just a lot for us to taste through and have to give notes, especially when we record after the kids go to bed.
In the future, I guess we could always kick one out, and then whenever we redo the reveal and say what it is, say this is the one that didn't make it.
But what if it was the best one? Or like we just randomly, we have to close our eyes and randomly pick one bottle and that one sits out?
I mean, I know we don't always agree, but surely we could find a way to agree on a common loserator instead of a denominator.
A loserator. Is that one of those doctor words you have?
It's got enough syllables.
It just doesn't start with anything with Latin. If it started with a Latin prefix, that would definitely be a doctor word.
Although for wordplay, I did hear this radio ad the other day, and it's talking about some company, and they make like screen printing, stickers, something else. And the guy literally says, decals.
Decals?
Yeah, I'm not really paying attention. I'm like, what in the hell does this guy do with cows? Like, what is this guy talking about? And so it plays, once or twice more through their hook or whatever. I finally realized he's talking about a decal. Oh. Honest to God, the way he says, he's like, and we do decals. And I'm like, what's a decal? Like denutting them like or something? Like, what's he talking about?
You were like, I don't know what you want to do with the cows.
Yeah. I mean, literally, it threw me off for a good minute or two. I was like, man, this would be a good one. Redneck's gone wrong.
So anyways, tell me about this blind because you were the one who got the blind. It's your friend. Tell me more about who gave us 5 samples.
This came from a guy I met through Tarak. We'll leave somewhat unnamed in case folks that listen could get him in trouble for whatever reason. I don't know.
He's going to get, but anyways, it's Tarak with Elixir Spirits in Spring Hill, Tennessee. Go check him out. That is how Zeke would be down at the store. And this person, what's his first name?
It's a patron that no longer lives there, so I'm the now facilitator for when Tarak gets picks, and since he doesn't live in Spring Hill, I help facilitate getting those to him. I'll just leave it at that. He listens to our show and wanted to send us some random blinds to see what we came up with or thought about them. And as we've mentioned in a few shows recently and previously, we're trying to get back through some of these that folks have been generous enough to send. Our apologies as always for being a little behind and slow there, but we will get there, asterisks, as long as we don't lose them.
Well, I typically tend to name these episodes a blind from blank. So if you want me to just say a blind from John Doe, like you don't even want to say his first name.
It was something in my phone. I don't want to go find it.
Oh, he asked that he remain nameless.
Yeah, it was something to do with work or who might listen. And I don't know. I tried to pry when folks tell me stuff like that. We'll just say Tarak's friend in New York.
Okay. You are actually sending him the pics from Elixir Spirits. I feel like he would like you a little bit more than some of these pours suggested.
I thought there was a good range. I also was uncertain on a couple of these, as if you want to keep that whole love life theme going. 2.5 out of these 5 kind of had the tops chewed off of them by someone's dog.
You think the dog's spit kind of affected the taste profile?
There's been a little bit of air exposure to these for a little bit of time. I didn't quite catch it at first. The volume looked good, but if extra airtime got to mine, that could be the reason for any difference in mine and your notes on these.
I think it might have been the bottles used, or maybe the fact he didn't like you. There were a couple of these that were a little bit off.
Let's just dive on in. I mean, we've got 5 of these. Time's a wasting, like the was it June Carter line?
Yeah, let's go. Time's a wasting. It's a good song. Anyways, let's talk about, you have the envelope. Do you have it ready?
I do. I just went and grabbed it. I realized that when you mentioned it a minute ago that I'd forgotten that part of the episode.
I am actually drinking a side pour tonight. I'm taking it back old school. My side pour for the night, by the way, is the Parker's Heavy Char Rye Whiskey from a couple years ago. It's 8 years old, 105 proof. Good stuff, but that's my side pour. I needed a side pour.
Well, how does it seem compared to your memory of it?
It's good. I mean, remember we talked about that whole thing with Castle and Atlas. We did that show.
I remember all that. I just remember there was some contention about airtime and after, revisiting down the road, which, a lot of folks seem to flip between which one they thought was better between the Parkers and the Russells. So I just didn't know if your memory was still on par or not.
I still like blending them together and doing the half and half. And I would probably go straight up. You know how much I love Parkers, but I think that Cornerstone edges out the Parkers just a little bit, even with the airtime.
Fair enough.
Okay. Before you open this envelope, and with great power comes great responsibility. So I hope you're ready for this. Normally I have the envelope. I'm not bitter or anything. I'm not feeling out of my element or anything. But before you do this, I need you to tell me, how did you rank these?
So for the first sample, I ranked that the lowest. I gave it a 5. The second sample, which sidebar, the aforementioned dog must have liked the most, is the lowest of all these I have, and it's not for me. Number 2, I put as my 4th. The third one I put as 2nd. 4th was 3, and the final one was tops for me.
All right, so we agree that 5 was tops. For me, I went 5. This is going to make a lot of sense to you after the fact, but I went 5, 1, 4, and then 2 and 3 were tied.
You ranked number 1 as your 2nd? So 5, 1, 4, and then 2 and 3 were kind of meh for you?
5 tasted really good to me. 1 and 4 I ranked where they were just because I got a taste and a nose. 2 and 3 I ranked where they were because I got no nose and just astringent perfume on the taste. So I wonder if there was something with the bottles here. So basically I just ranked sample number 1 and sample number 4 where they were because I got a taste and a nose. So
all right. Well, enough random numbers.
So 5 was just clearly above the rest, and then it could have been the other 4 and then 5 for me.
That's too many numbers, and I'm sitting here with you, and I'm not even writing them down. And anybody listening, I can imagine, may have just had a wreck or killed a squirrel. All right. So as I peel back the envelope, Zeke and John, I like it when they put me first. Hope all is well in Nashville. I enjoy the podcast and wanted to send you a drink as a thank you. I know I love a good blind and haven't heard one on the show in a bit, so I thought it would be a fun way to share a drink. Hope you enjoy. Your friend.
I just want you to know that as I say this, I am very appreciative. There are a lot of variables here. You are our friend. Come back down, visit us, have some pours with us. There's a lot that can happen when it goes in a sample bottle.
It's also going to be, very tough to beat out the Tommy Bahama. I mean,
I think
it's a hell of a benchmark.
I think the dog ate mine too. Can I use that excuse?
Interesting.
I love these. I really do. The look on Zeke's face, you can't see it. I'm kind of giving you a play-by-play, but he's just like, oh man. So like the last one's going to be ETL or something. That's what I love about this, because what I'm noticing right now is there's something that burned him pretty good.
All right. So the unveiling here. Number 1 is Breckenridge Bourbon Whiskey coming in at 86 proof. Number 2 is a Nashville Barrel Co. Straight Rye Whiskey, single barrel pick from Frugal McDougal. 8 years old, barrel 1213. I'm really not sure if this is the one I picked or not. That's what has me laughing pretty good here. I really don't know. I just looked for a bottle, and at least like right here, I can't find one. I'm not going to turn the house upside down.
No, because that was a 7-year pick, wasn't it?
Swear that's what I think.
No, 100% that was a 7-year pick. The one that you picked for Frugals was 7 years.
Well, I knew they got 2, and that's when at first I was like, oh, shit. Did I rank my own pick that low? And I was like, hold on. Maybe it's not the one I picked.
Like, I wouldn't have talked so much shit. I thought this was an older blind that you had sitting around for a while. I mean, this sounds like it's a fairly new blind, but anyways, continue.
At least I feel better about that's the one the dog loved. Number 3, Smoke Wagon, straight bourbon whiskey, Aster. I don't know if I say it right, but anyway, Aster, whatever, up in New York. A 8-year single barrel pick, barrel 508, coming in at 116.84 proof. Number 4 was Foursquare 2007, in quotations, Barbados Rum, ex-bourbon cask, 12 years old, released in 2019, coming in at 118 proof.
I have that one.
And the final one, wow, is a 1792 Foolproof from Superior Discount Liquor Store in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And obviously with being the 1792 Foolproofs, it's coming in at 125 proof.
The overview here, that somewhat makes sense to me for a number of reasons. And the reason I will say are as follows. I feel like I'm doing a dissertation. Like, here's my thesis, and then I will back it up. So 2 and 3, I thought were related in some way, shape, or form because there were characteristics about them and the way that the whiskey opened up. I'm not talking about tasting notes, but the fact that I didn't really get a nose at first. And then the more I put it down, I said, this really needs to open up. I will show you my notes. It says, had to try too hard to get anything, opens up, feel it would do more with more time, which I don't have right now.
I'm just not sure how you call that related. It would be like saying you had 2 pours of whiskey and they were related because they were whiskey.
No, but I felt the same way on the nose for number 3. Both of these are MGP, asshole. They're both from the same distillery. Smoke Wagon and Nashville Barrel Company both originate at MGP in Indiana.
One's a rye, one's a bourbon.
Yes, but there are characteristics of the distillery itself. The fact that the whiskey took longer to open up. I wasn't saying that the taste profile was the same. I was saying that there are characteristics that are similar.
So let's go ahead and mark the record for all future instances. When it takes a while to open up or there's no nose, by default for Edwards, it has to be MGP.
No, I didn't say MGP. I just said I wonder if they're related in some way, shape, or form. It was not MGP. It was just related. They could have been kissing cousins for all I care.
Carry on.
I mean, we've had a lot of 1792 Foolproof picks that were really good. People haven't talked about them as much. I feel like they were talked about more in 2017, 2018. They were really hot. You think Lincoln Road had a few good ones. The J Squared Barrels guys had a few good ones. I feel like they were talked about before a lot. Tarak, we picked one. I picked one with Tarak and Elixir that was really good. I just feel like people haven't really talked about them a lot. They're still really solid, and they're $50. It's hard to go wrong with a 1792 Foolproof.
Fair enough. So are you going to do any notes here, or are we getting the summary version of this dissertation?
I did quick notes.
I did as well. I have nothing more than really one line for any of these. I didn't do any nose. I just went straight palate, like you said from the get-go. There were 5 of these, and I didn't want to overly consume a ton of time here.
Okay, so number 1 for me, which was Breckenridge. This was actually my first time trying Breckenridge. I said the nose was black licorice, and the taste matches the nose for me.
1 for me, I put down that it was thin, smoky, and I thought it was possibly a Scotch or a different type of whiskey.
Fair. I actually just got a message from Tarak as we're recording, and he just said, "You're on it. Listening to Starlight episode, but tasting notes are for Restoration Rye."
How is my phone correct? I'm still baffled by this.
Because I fixed it at 6 o'clock this morning. I got up and I went, oh crap. Or yesterday morning. It was yesterday morning. I fixed it at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I know, and he's just now sending you the message.
I don't know.
All right. What you got for number 2? Stay focused.
I had to try too hard to get anything. It opens up a little bit on the nose, but I said the taste initially was very perfumey, and I just wonder, it was a little hot as well. I think it just needs to open up and it will smooth out, because I've never had an NBC that tastes like that's the crazy thing that makes you think about the samples, because I've never had an NBC that tastes like this.
Being the 8-year, that run's still pretty new, and it ranges well from what I've had. My notes on that one, I put down that like as soon as it hit the tongue, it just jumped out. I thought it was a fairly grassy rye as part of that jumping out initial flavor. Mid to back, it kind of moved into more like a copper and pine type tasting. And I almost thought it might be a wine finish. It just kind of had a drying sweetness on the back end. Really did some light tasting on this, but that was my kind of quick synopsis there for that one. And in the realm of the 4 other pours, it's kind of one of those things where, like, if you're in a rye mood, you just dive into rye forever. And when you have 1 out of 4 other ones, I think it kind of maybe got the sore thumb or bastard child type treatment here, just because it was the oddball on the mash.
I think you're right about that in a lot of ways. I really do like your notes. The copper and pine makes sense. I just said perfumey. You went more descript, but it was just a little bit hot. The heat is something that MGP does normally bring. It's an 8-year rye, right?
8 years, a 114.74 proof. And again, that's the second run of barrels they put out. So it's different than those original 7s. So I'll give it that, to say the least.
What about number 3, the Smoke Wagon Aster pick?
That one, I mean, I think out of all these, it threw me off maybe the most. And my notes are also admittedly bad here, but it just kind of confused me. I thought it was a kind of bourbon-y pour, then kind of rye-ish, because it had some heat that popped up toward the middle. It was fairly thick, and none of the flavors ran off in any direction, but concentrated-wise, it kind of had something going on. And I really thought it might be a 4 Roses if I had to guess what it was. Just the way some of those, higher tier mashes, the heat towards the middle of the back kind of overwhelms the profile sometimes. That was kind of what popped up in my head. Definitely kind of a little bit off profile to me for what I think of with MGP bourbons traditionally, that's kind of where most of the smoke wagons I've had are. And I haven't had a ton, so don't put much weight into that. But what I've had have been more novel than what I would think of as like, OG smooth ambler type stuff.
I just said I had to work really hard to get a nose, and the taste was a little bit hot. I mean, there were similarities to 2 where I couldn't really get a lot off of it. And that's the thing with the single barrel is every single barrel is going to be a little bit different. I don't know if the dog ate this one too.
This one has the best lid of any.
Well, there you go. Maybe he just ate mine. What did you get for number 4, which was the 4 Square rum?
Yeah, so 4, I don't know about you. I thought this was pretty noticeable. I just put down it was sweet with an exclamation point. I said, I think it's rum, but if I'm wrong, it could possibly be a light whiskey at a lower proof. And then I just put down all I taste really is cane, sugar, and booze.
I got spray paint.
Well, the lid is completely gone on this one, so I'm going to have to chalk this one up to the dog. I thought it was rum 110%. Like, if you didn't get rum out of this, I'm worried about you, kind of.
I said the nose is spray paint and the taste is spray paint, and I have this rum. I do have this rum. The bottle is on my shelf.
I mean, you poured your sample for mine, so mine's got even more airtime to it with no lid.
I mean, I said I could tell it was a rum. Not lying. I could tell it was a rum, but this is like a spray paint. It's so sweet. If you can't nose it and tell it's a rum, something's wrong with you.
Yeah. I mean, just like we kind of talked about, or I talked about the one rye, having a little bit of the redheaded stepchild kind of feel to it. This was a complete 180, but at the same time, like, oh, I mean, if I got this one wrong, then, go ahead and put me to bed, knock me out, and tell me to try again tomorrow.
Last but not least, the 1792 Foolproof. What'd you get?
The first note that I have, and I felt really good about this, I thought about it for a minute. It reminded me of those tiny little heart-shaped candies from Valentine's Day. The ones that have like the 2 and 3 word little like quips on them, I thought it was soft. It reminded me on the front half of somewhere between peaches, pear, and honey. On the back half, I got chocolate and chocolate. And on the back half, I got chocolate and oak. Tell me you found those notes before.
I cannot, but I will tell you that I felt like out of all of the pours, this was the most developed and the most mature pour. It felt like it had the most complexity. It was fruity as hell. I mean, the best way I can describe this pour is just fruity, bold, full, mature. It was like as we were tasting the other 4, when I got to 5, I was just like, oh, this one knows who it is. And the other 4 were still kind of figuring it out. Just 1792 Foolproof is a beast. It's hard to beat. It was just super fruity and full. Like the mouthfeel was full. I didn't feel thin. I didn't have to work to get a nose. Everything about it was just like old reliable. It was like a good Ford Taurus. I mean, it was like it was, you know what? No.
No, you gotta leave that. That's so good.
No, it was like a Ford Windstar van. Like it's a minivan. It is going to get you where you want to go. It's going to be safe. There's room if you want to put the seats down. You can get a whole barrel in there if you want to. That's why Zeke wants a minivan.
Dude, I've said it. You only got 1 kid. I got 2. I would not be ashamed to roll in one, but based on your metaphor, I feel like that's a much more deep down memory. So I was just going to ask how many dates you went on in a minivan.
None.
And or how many times you dropped the seats down.
No.
I mean, there has been a loose love life theme in this show. I figured I might as well keep rolling with it.
What are you, Dr. Drew?
You're the one that has memories of a Ford Taurus.
I don't have memories of a Ford Taurus. I never owned a Ford Taurus. I actually had a Chevy Lumina. I had a Mitsubishi Diamante. I
don't know what that is.
My first car was a Mitsubishi Diamante, or my second car was a Chevy Lumina.
I will say, so back to this blind. In the realm of 1792 Foolproof picks, this sticks out really well. I mean, I think the normal dig most people, and obviously including myself, would say is a lot of Barton just comes out hot for whatever reason. But this thing was so soft and drinkable and the front end, like you said, I mean, fruity, aromatic, and then the back just had a really good chocolate malt oak wood component. Not too much by any means, but as much as I would say neither one of us really used the word complex, just because it's kind of reserved for when it happens. I mean, I would have to say this is a pretty damn complex pour in the sense of it really gives you all you want front to back, and just as it moves across, you just enjoy it.
Agreed.
I mean, other than Patrick Stevie, this is probably the best thing to come out of Wisconsin.
This was fun. I love these shows. This is a lot of fun, and thank you to the no-name man. Like, should we call him Mr. X?
Tarak's friend from Elixir that lives in New York.
So the name of the episode is going to be A Blind from Tarak's Friend Who Lives in New York. All right.
Just don't call it Restoration by Castle and Key or Starlight.
Well, thank you all for listening. Thank you to Mystery Man for sending us samples. Really appreciate it. Zeke, the folks can find us on Facebook at Dad's Drinking Bourbon, Twitter at Bourbon Dads, Instagram at Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Find us wherever you download your podcast. Chances are you already have, because you're listening right now, and thank you for that. Zeke, where else can the folks find us?
Go Nashville, Tennessee.
Cheers.
Ciao.